Boca Juniors, Bayern Munich, and Europe gives South America their first defeat. Not Brazil, though. Brazil continue undefeated, but South America gets handed their first defeat, with Bayern beating Boca Juniors 2-1 in a thrilling match in Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium. Now, I went to the first Boca game. Eventually, you guys are sure to see some visuals of that, let's say. But the Boca fans are ridiculous. They are ridiculous. And me as a Corinthians fan, I know that they're ridiculous. They're just as ridiculous as we are. And, I hope Corinthians gets a chance one day. I hope Corinthians gets a chance to show who they are to the world, because we would make just as much, maybe even more of a ruckus than Boca do. Either way, massive respect to Boca and massive respect to Bayern. Boca performed well, better than I thought they would against Bayern. Now, you see, with the whole South Americans performing well, a lot of people have kind of grouped them together, right? But Brazilian teams and Argentinian teams are very different from each other. And usually they actually butt heads against each other, right? In competitions like the Libertadores or the Sudamericana. Now, Boca recently has been known to not have been very good. Boca is far from the Boca that we know. River has actually been the stronger team, and Boca has been a bit weaker recently. Far from the Boca that we know. Still yet, Boca managed to give Bayern a challenge. Now, yes, Boca did have to assume inferiority, similar to what Botafogo did against PSG. But you see the main difference between Botafogo and Boca in the organization of the defense. Right? Botafogo looked very, very organized, very stable, and Boca just looked a bit more all over the place. And it was easy for Bayern to pick apart their position. Now, this does give credit to some credit is given to Bayern for their movement, their ball movement as well. But there was a lot of moments where I just saw Boca players biting when they shouldn't have, or chasing the ball out of position. And that just creates holes for other players. And Olise had an amazing game. Kingsley Coman always has an amazing game. Limer had an amazing game as well. But it was tough for Bayern, and it was difficult. Now they got their first goal. Harry Kane scores. That'll make him happy. But the goal to really talk about is Boca's goal. And it just is one ball down the right side. Merentiel uses his speed. He beats out Ta. And he runs centrally. And as he ran centrally, I'm not going to lie, in my head I'm thinking, you've given the defender a chance to cut that ball off. And as Stanisic is coming to cut the ball off, Merentiel does a beautiful meia-lua, is what we call it in Portuguese, around the player, around the Bayern player, and then one-on-one with Neuer, a confident strike up in central into the goal, or maybe towards that left side. But what a beautiful goal. And you just hear the explosions of the Boca fans, the explosions in Miami, and it just looked like the game was open from then on. And it really was. However, Boca just struggled to get some other chances and some sloppy defending, a bit scrappy as well. Not really being able to get the ball out. Kane is able to just scoop the ball over to Olise, and Olise hits a nice little finesse shot into the bottom right corner of the goalie. And that ends up being that. After that, Boca didn't really show anything. And it's just because I guess Boca tactically didn't really do anything, or going forward didn't have it. So two differences, big differences we see from Boca to Botafogo. One, Boca not as organized defensively, right? Botafogo had better shape. You kept it more stable. And number two, going forward, Botafogo was able to keep the ball. They were able to rotate the ball when they wouldn't have to rush it. They would play the easy ball forward, but then move everybody forward. And when it was time for them to keep the ball, they would. And I think Boca just missed a little bit of that. It was a little bit of calm that Boca missed. I think Boca and the South American teams have that great ability to create emotion, create problems when there seems to be no issues, when Bayern seemed comfortable. Boca come out of nowhere and cause issues. But that's a problem, and it could be it's a benefit, and it can be a curse as well. And I think knowing your own strength is essential in this tournament. Urawa could have beaten River if they knew that they could. Boca, if they believed in their own skill more than they did, or had better tactics preparing them for this, I think Boca could have given Bayern a harder time. Harder than they already did. A great win for Bayern. Shows how cold the Germans are. Shows how focused they are. Because a lot of other teams would have rocked. A lot of other teams would have started making mistakes after that Boca goal. So props to Bayern. We know that they're always one of the hardest teams to play. We know that they're the elite. But also props to Boca. And even though Boca was handed their first defeat and South America's first defeat, I think Boca can walk out of that game pretty proud. Now for Boca, the important thing is winning the last game and winning against Auckland by some margin to make sure that they can qualify to the round of 16. And if they do, they will give any team they face problems.